So the next benefit I want to talk about is rhythm. I started doing a regular embodiment practice about 4 years ago, 5 years ago, going on. And one of the first things I noticed in in becoming more aware of my body was my personal rhythm. Here's what I mean. I began to notice the pace at which I was walking. I began to notice a kind of scurrying. I began to notice a sense that I was always rushing, that I was always behind somehow. And I had the idea, I'm behind, I'm behind. And as a result, I had the physical reaction to that. I grew up in the 70s and 80s watching a lot of TV, like all of my friends and peers did back then. Maybe not as much as some people, but definitely enough. And there was so much messaging about rushing as a normalized way of being in the world. And my favorite example was there were so many commercials for orange juice, waffles, whatever, breakfast stuff, sausage, coffee, whatever it was. But there were well, not coffee, because coffee was usually a savoring kind of commercial, like someone's slowly sipping their coffee in the morning and going, oh, I'm so glad I have this coffee. That's what I remember. But a lot of these other commercials and also films, television shows, whenever a usually white American family was portrayed in the morning, before work, before school, in the kitchen, there was always this rushing. So it was always like, hurry up, kids, it's time for school. And, you know, there would be someone grabbing a bagel or grabbing a waffle or grabbing their bag and running out the door to catch the school bus, or running out of the door to make, to get in the car and hurry up and get somewhere. And there was this normalized portrayal of rushing to start the day. And as I started to notice my own body in my daily embodiment practice, these memories, these images started coming back to me of just witnessing and consuming all of these images of rushing all the time, rushing here, rushing there. And I thought, that's really interesting, because ostensibly the same group of people could have had a different way of starting the day. Everyone could have gotten up 45 minutes earlier and been moving at a completely different pace. I mean, that would be humanly possible, but that wasn't the narrative. That wasn't the norm. The norm is, jump when I say jump. It also reminds me of seeing, I didn't watch a lot of Westerns as a kid, but I did see them. And I did see certain tropes, whether it was, through humor or clips or whatever it was on television or spoofs or whatever. But there was always this trope of the person, someone would be shooting at their feet and they would be hopping around, like it was like some awful person was making this person dance by shooting bullets at their feet, And to me, it's the same thing as the morning ritual of kind of grabbing the waffle or the bagel or the orange juice and then just running out the door. And so I became intimately familiar with my own rhythm as I was walking through the world, walking from point A to point B. And I became aware of the chatter that accompanied the rhythm, and the physical response to that chatter, which was, oh my God, how do I, like I got to rush. I'm in a rush. I'm always in a rush. And I became really curious about that. And so I began to experiment with it. And I began to slow down intentionally as a part of being aware of my body, as an expression of being aware of my body. I began to notice my rhythm, my pace, the rhythm of my gait, the rhythm of how I was moving and how I was being. And wow, I'm realizing I could say a lot more about this. Like my relationship to time is also deeply interwoven with this conversation about rhythm. Why couldn't I leave earlier? Why was I late? Why was I rushing? Why was I battling traffic? I began to notice earlier on in my own time ecosystem decisions I was making at earlier points on that metaphorical clock. Let's say it took 45 minutes to get somewhere, or why couldn't I leave 90 minutes early? Then there was this thought like, I don't want to be early. I don't want to be sitting around. I don't want to have to interact with strangers for more time. I don't want to whatever. And I started to watch that, investigate that, get curious about how I was being in my body, in the world, in my day, inside of a swath of time. And embodiment gave me that dialogue, that inquiry, that curiosity. And I do think it began to change my bearing, my way of showing up, my feeling about being in the world, in my body as myself. And I do think that this aspect of rhythm is inextricably tied to all the others that have come before in the videos you've already watched and the ones that will come after. They're all clustered and interconnected because the way that I move, the rhythm that I'm expressing as Bridget in the world is related to personal agency, is related to my capacity for being exposed to various levels of social discomfort, whether it's slowing down enough to make eye contact with another person and the risk or opportunity in that fleeting moment, whether it's being more present and what that yields and what that means, whether it's focused personal agency, all those things are connected to this conversation about rhythm. And I'm going ahead in my imagination and thinking about some of the other elements too, like time, awareness, relaxation, and so on. So thank you for listening. I am enjoying this exploration of the benefits of embodiment. It's interesting to stumble upon this fractal quality of embodiment and that it's all there all the time, all together. All of the things that make embodiment a support a resource, a source of nourishment, a source of being fed, of recharging and refilling, a source of strength and strengthening. All of those benefits coexist, and they're all there together. If we haven't met before, my name is Bridget. I have a podcast called Thriving in Plain Sight where we, just for a few minutes, we do an embodiment practice together every week. We do this because it's so easy to forget to do it. So I like being a person in the world who reminds people, just stop for a minute and let's do this intentional focusing, intentional noticing. So we do that. And I'm also a coach, and I give people an opportunity to be in their bodies as they're doing the work that they need to do, as they're approaching the challenges they need to approach, as they're navigating phases of life, as they're navigating conditions and circumstances, losing things, gaining things, starting things, finishing things, building things, making things, excavating, creating, unearthing. We make room to feel in the process of doing what needs to be done. I am fighting the urge to go on a tangent right now, so I'll stop there. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for being with me. Thank you for watching this video. I hope that it bolsters your own embodiment practice. I hope that it gives you a feeling of connection and community, and it lets you know that you're not alone as you're curiously and willingly navigating life in your own body. I will see you again in the next video. Bye-bye.